Hi everyone, welcome to another video tutorial of GGXLog. In today's video, we plan to discuss about the graph visualization of a writing session. Just to introduce a graph is a set of nodes or vertices, which is basically data and links or edges between these nodes or vertices, and these represent relationship between these data. If you look at a graph in a typical writing session, the data would be represented in a node would be if text was added or appended to the end of a text, it would be called an append node. If text was inserted into the text, it would be called an insert node. If text was deleted, we would call it a delete node. And if text was moved, we would call it a displaced node. And if there was a pause in the writing, we would call it a pause node. So there are many nodes in graph representation or graph visualization of a writing session. So in today's video, we will discuss three of them. We will discuss how an append looks, how an insert is visualized, and how a pause is represented. So first of all, let's go and look at an existing writing of an append. So I've already opened this, so it's in my open recent list. So if you go to and open that, so if you go to the visualization of this graph, we can go to graph representation, go to graphs session graph, go to settings, because we cannot process the data without specifying the settings. Let me explain what these settings are. The pause time is the cognitive pause time that we will consider. So the program by default sets 2000 milliseconds, but of course, depending on your interpretation of a cognitive pause, you can change this value. You can show pauses, and if you do, you will have a bit of a complex graph representation, because these will add pause nodes. But if you don't want a very complex graph representation, you can hide the pauses. You can show what text has been typed in a node, and a node typically will have all the characters relevant to that particular writing event. You have two modes: manual graph mode, which allows you to manipulate the graph manually, and of course you have automatic graph mode, which will draw the graph automatically, and when you attempt to manipulate it, it will move the entire graph. But of course this setting can be changed when you are visualizing the graph as well. You have node scaling and the shape of the node, and typically the default is box node with text, and this would be where you would start off your understanding of graphs. You also can represent different types of node in different colors, and these colors can be changed as you wish. And of course, if you want to go back to the default colors, for example, to compare with another researcher, then you might want to use the default colors, because then you can match colors to the other researchers' colors. When you save settings, you will see that the graph is automatically drawn, and you can, in manual mode, you can move these nodes around. And of course, if it does not draw in a convenient or a easily legible manner, you can of course redraw it by clicking the process button until you get a favorable graph layout. So this shows that this is node 0 where you started off, and this text was written in a stretch, and this would be typically how an append node is represented. And you can switch between circles or scaled spheres. The next event we would discuss is an insertion. So again, we'll go to Open Recent and go to Insert. So let's go and look at the graph representation of this. And now you will see that, of course, the process button is enabled already because the graph settings are saved in the program. And if we draw this, we can draw it till it's a convenient layout. And then if we look at this, you will see that here is a text. So this was the text that was appended, and then word insert in was inserted between here is and the word text. So now if you follow these red arrows, you will see that here is a word inserted in a text. So that would be your final text as represented in the session replay. So next we will look at how a pause is represented in a graph. We will go to Open, we will go to Pause, open this file, and then we will process it. So you will see that there is no pause shown here. We have to go to Settings and we have to say Show Pauses, and now if you draw it, you will see that writing a simple text, I had a pause between here and here. So if you read the text, it is writing a simple text, I had a pause between here and here, but between the words here and here there was a pause of 3915 milliseconds. So let's meet up in another video tutorial of GGXLog, and we will discuss how different events are represented or visualized in a graph.